This is gonna be cool.
The topics and opinions expressed on the Dudes and Beer podcast are intended for an audience of 18 and up and are solely those of the host and guest. They neither reflect the opinions or values of either the sponsors of Dudes and Beer or your mother. I mean, seriously, have you ever heard these guys? They'll talk about anything.
Whoa, hey, you think they're gonna show it? They'll probably just blur it out. Whoa, check it out, Beavis.
Grab your beverages and turn up your interweb. Solving the world's problems 12 ounces at a time. It's Dudes and Beer.
Is it getting better? Or do you feel the same? Will it make it easier on you now? You got someone to blame. You're sad.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the 50th episode of Dudes and Beer. I am Chris Jordan, your host. With me, as always, is Stephen Bishop and Nelson Kugle.
Yo!
The good friends of Dudes and Beer.
How's it going, guys?
What do?
We're going to get into some deep information tonight, folks. This 50th episode, we're actually going to be talking about race relations in America, the police shootings that involved Alton Sterling, as well as Philando, Castile. We'll be talking about the shootings that happened via the hand of Micah X. Johnson in Dallas that took the lives of 5 police officers, as well as the ongoing issues with violent black power groups in America, the possible infiltration of people like that into Black Lives Matter, or at least representing them prima facie, like on the face at events, and militarized police attacking protesters in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Exactly what is going on in our country, with our phone guest this evening, Jason Knight, right after this message from our sponsor.
Hey, are you a musician? Do you play guitar, bass, or synthesizers? Are you a studio engineer looking for that different sound? Well, fret no longer. Austin Hot Mods is there for you. From Boss to Ibanez, DoD to EHX and more, Austin Hot Mods provides over 50 different modifications and customizations to some of the most popular guitar pedals on the market, from vintage to modern. So if you're looking for that boutique custom sound on a Craigslist budget, look no further. Contact Austin Hot Mods today and mention that you heard it here on the Dudes and Beer podcast for 5% off your first guitar pedal modification. Visit them online at austinhotmods.com. Texas owned and operated and home of the Mod of the Month deal. That website again is austinhotmods.com.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. With us on the phone is Jason Knight. How are you doing this evening, Jason?
Oh, man, I am grateful. I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Chris, for inviting me on the show.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Steven.
Hell yeah.
We're all glad to have you.
Glad to have you, brother.
Well, before we... Go ahead, sorry.
No, that's good. No, we're good. I just want to say thank you for all the listeners out there that just want to talk about this very, very sensitive times that we're in right now. And I think there's some light that I think this show may open or could bring to people's attention.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, before we really get in depth with everything and start going here, give us a little bit. We were just talking a little bit about your background, one of the reasons why you're on the show. Go ahead and give us a little bit about your background, what it is that you did, and all that.
Well, the background for me, I'm retired military, veteran. Serve our great, wonderful country.
Thank you.
And I'm grateful to be here. One of the things that I get the pleasure of doing is getting out there and talking to many people, and build stages, lights, entertainment, and I'm a God-fearing guy.
Yeah.
There's a lot about me that most people that gets to know me, get to know who I am and what I do. Anything that comes out of my mouth usually is God, Jesus, and everybody else. But at the same time, I love everybody, and everybody deserves a chance.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that statement. Yeah.
Well, and that's just it, And now, You actually drive a truck for a living, so you're out on the road on a regular basis, and
Yeah, that's true.
even with your military training, everything else. Of course, I mean, not a lot of people. I don't know if a lot of people know the statistic that quite a bit of our boys in blue, the guys that serve us as police officers in this country, come from military experience.
It's about I say a 30% chance that the boys, the women, the men who are serving and protecting those who are on the street are prior service, military, or still serve the military and serve our country's military on the weekend.
Yeah, on a reservist basis.
Yep.
And you know, that to me is a huge indicator. Number one, that there is a sense of duty there, that there is a sense of community, that there is a sense in, I would say, the greater number of police officers out there. You know, where the people that perpetrate these instances are in the far minority. We're talking like a shave of a percent. You know, like 1%. Less than 1% of police officers are committing acts like this, and letting acts like this happen. But it's the perception that the media spins on it, and that everything gets spun on, that leads to the rash actions that are happening around the country right now from both sides of the fence.
Right.
That's why, like, the news that I try to get, I'd like to where they get into it. You know, they, yes, this happened.
Yes.
But the statistics are, this doesn't always happen. You know?
Exactly. And the case of Alton Sterling in Baton Rouge. We were talking about that before the show, and it was one of those that the police were apparently called out for somebody brandishing a weapon, threatening people, and when they arrived, he fit the description. They went to ask him questions. He resisted. They tased him, and in the process ended up seeing his gun, said he reached for it, and shot him. Now, as of today, to his credit, I would say, the DA of Baton Rouge has come out and recused himself and his office from investigating the case.
I think that was a good move on the DA.
Why would you say that, Stephen?
Well, I figured that's a conflict of interest if he's having to investigate his own department. And that wouldn't get anybody satisfied. The public wouldn't like that.
Yeah.
They would have too many questions. They would question it no matter. So I think having an outside department investigating is perfect to just maybe, just nip it in the bud,
Well,
but doesn't like the district attorney and the DA, usually that's what they do, is investigate their own departments?
No, not necessarily. Like there is internal. There's what is it? IA, Internal Affairs, and they're the people that investigate dirty cops, stuff like that. Sure, but what he's trying to say is that the DA is also the people that calls the cops. They're the people that send detectives out, like actively working with detectives on investigations. So he doesn't want to make it seem like he's putting any kind of bias into this investigation whatsoever. He wants an independent Department of Justice investigation done, to where it's like that way nothing can come back and it can be like, hey, it was rigged by the local DA. He was protecting his cops, stuff like that.
That's a man thinking ahead, I believe.
I really think that he's thinking in the best interest of the community, of the police department, and of everybody involved in that case at that point, whenever he's actually recusing himself from it. What do you think about that,
well,
Jason?
in a legal standpoint, especially when it's your own department, that's pretty much standard.
Yeah.
In a government standpoint, because when we talk about law enforcement, they do follow under state and federal. So that is standard procedure. So if your office is under any type of investigation, there's always an outside source that comes in and investigate. One, it keeps you, the person who is not in question, out of it. And if you are the captain, it keeps you from being one-sided, and it just takes that stereotype away.
Yeah.
And
By procedures, you
got-
mean military procedures?
well, military procedures, it's just government spirit, period.
Yeah.
Because if you come under any type of scrutiny, you got to have someone outside. Because if it comes back, and there's any type of misled information,
Yes.
and it comes back on you as a person and part of it, you're in trouble too.
Yeah.
So that just alleviates the whole problem, and then this way, when results come back, they can decide, okay, yes, okay, X, Y, and Z. This is what's going on. This is the information we found. This is who is in fault. This is who are not in fault. And then until then, everybody is on lockdown until this stuff is complete.
Yeah. And that's pretty much the status quo in these investigations. That's what they try to do, is stop that as much as possible, to try and absolutely to control things as much as possible as well, and to make sure that there isn't spurious information going out that's related to the case that is make or break. That way you don't have a bunch of copycats. You don't have a bunch of people feeding you false information, that kind of stuff. And like I said, to me, in that case, I mean, it's a horrible, horrible tragedy that happened. And it's a tragedy that's happening all too often across the country. Like I was saying before, there was the instance in Mesa, Arizona, of a man from Texas who happened to be a white guy that was shot by police. He had a pellet gun in his hotel room, and they brought him outside. He was absolutely intoxicated, and he begged for his life on his knees with his hands in the air. And even the police report says that it looked like he was going down to pull his shorts up that were falling down. And the police officer fired, thinking that he had a handgun. And it's one of those, like we said, a great number of these police officers are coming back from military experience, and there is kind of a different mentality that goes with that. Would you say so, Jason?
Well, when you have that kind of, I call it urban warfare experience, and understanding that you don't know the people that you're looking at are friend or foe, you have to treat everything with the most carefulness.
Yeah.
Because you do not want to put somebody in category, your person or any person, in a big box. As okay, that guy looks like the enemy. No, that is wrong, because when you look at that scenario and look at what we're looking at today with law enforcement, they're starting to adapt those military training, but the civilian is seeing it from a different angle. Like, okay, why is the police looking more like the military?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And why am I starting to see robot style IED machines going up into buildings?
Yeah,
and
taking a dude out.
Why am I seeing? It's just stuff that's happening. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, no. I was going to say let's start breaking into that a little bit, because the shootings that happened back to back, they were back to back days.
So back to back, man.
Between Philando Castile on the 6th and Alton Sterling on the 5th, and the protest that happened in Dallas was an absolutely peaceful protest. I was watching stuff live as it happened.
Right.
And that's one of the things that, the young kid that did the shooting in Dallas was a former vet. He had served in Afghanistan. He came back and apparently tried to get involved with Black Lives Matter for a little while and was very disillusioned.
Kind of disgruntled with
the steps that they were taking. It wasn't the actions that he thought would make an impact. And what's odd is that he did seek out Black Power parties and stuff like that, and went to go be part of the communities, and was ostracized by most of them because he was so violent natured, because he wanted violent action, and that's not what they were truly about, you know. And that's not what most Black Power parties are about. There are a few, like the new Black Panther Party, that do take part in violent actions and coalitions and stuff like that.
Well, like you're originally saying, the original Black Panthers were...
Oh, they were a community organization. They were like the guardian angels.
Right.
They guarded their communities, and they put out community programs, and they helped build community. That's what it was about. Right. It was an outreach program, and that really got usurped back in the 60s by violent people, and that's what begat the new Black Panther Party now. And, you know...
Which is not associated with the old Black Panther.
It is not in any way, shape, or form, other than by name. And that's what a lot of people misconstrue. And that's what we were talking about earlier, Nelson, is the fact that people identify you with this. Like, people will automatically, whether or not this guy, who is it? X. Oh my God, Micah. Micah X Johnson. You know, all they're identifying with right now is that he's a former vet. He
acted on his own.
You know, and it's the fact of, he did go on top of a building and start popping off police. Everything on his social media and everything else was all about, like, white people need to die and police need to die. So go ahead.
I think the result of that is when he got discharged from the military, based off of whatever findings they found, and led to find out that he had some mental disability.
Yeah.
What should have happened, and you know, this is no fault of anybody, but what should have happened is, during his process, he should have got referred to the VA.
Yep.
And he should have got involved. He should have got into the system for mental health, for PTSD, if there was any. Now, looking at his military occupational skill, not saying I don't think he went outside that wire, but when I mean going out the wire, I mean going on convoys and actually and conflicting with the enemy.
Sure.
But based off his skill, he was a carpenter. You know, he's a masonry. His whole job is to build buildings.
Yeah, to build the base.
To build the base. So if this man he experienced something, he probably experienced more rounds coming in inside.
Sure.
Inside the base, but it does not excuse him for not for having whatever he did. Now, for his mental health part of it, if his mental health was that severe, then someone within that community of folks, and it has nothing to do with race, someone should have called the mental health hotline and says, "Hey, this guy right here has given some red flags. There's some red flags here, and we need him." And they will come. They will come to the door. They will knock on your door. "Hey, my name is X, Y, and Z. We heard that you have some breakdowns. Are you okay? Do you need to talk to somebody?" You know, there's a lot of programs out there that could have actually prevented this incident from happening. You know, and so we can point fingers and says, "Well, he was black. Oh my God, he's black. He shot." You know, no.
Yeah, no.
What should have happened was, hey, you saw a red flag. He actually came to you. You saw a red flag. You should have said, "Hey, let me direct you where you need to go so you can get help."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You have a problem. Let's help you. I can ostracize you. Got it.
Well, and here's
you need help.
Here's a valid question. Even those guys that are coming back that need help, that let's say are a dishonorable discharge, are they viable for their VA benefit with a dishonorable discharge?
That's a good question.
Well, with the VA, because there's certain things you can and cannot receive, okay? And you have to go to the VA website. So I want to misquote the VA. All right? But mental health is mental health.
Yeah.
you got issues, you got to call them, no matter if you're a civilian or not. You know, if you're a civilian, I'm sure there's a hotline for people with mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
So,
there are commercials for it all over TV now.
Oh, yeah.
And people with white vests will show up and put you where you can hug yourself all day. So even if he's a veteran or a dishonorable veteran or other than honorable veteran, there is still a phone call away. I could dial 0 back in the day. I don't know about now, but I should be able to dial 0. You know,
Operator.
you know what I'm saying?
I call 0.
You know,
Now you just tell your phone to call.
That's a good one, yeah.
You just belied your age on air, my friend.
Hey, you know what I'm saying?
Next thing you're gonna say, you dropped a dime.
I like that. Yeah. I dropped a dime in that payphone and just.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I remember using payphones in front of someone.
But
I like that, Jason. That's awesome.
But literally, like, and you're saying this as a veteran. Like, there are places, there are benefits in place. There are things in place that should keep this from happening.
There's a lot of things out there. Even if let's say he did qualify for the VA, let's just say that.
But what about Jason if he didn't qualify for the VA stuff? What about that?
That's what I'm saying to you. That's what I was getting to it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's say he wasn't qualified for the VA. Okay.
Sure.
All right. He definitely gave the sign to someone who needed help.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Now, if you yourself, Nelson, or you, Stephen, you saw...
You still there? Jason? Uh-oh. I think we may have just lost Jason.
Oh, man.
Give me just a second. I will try to reconnect with him. While we do, you know, let's just bounce this around for a minute, guys.
Bounce it around.
Because, you know, like
there's certain cases that they can't get help from VA at certain times.
Well, and
for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And maybe he didn't look, or maybe he didn't fit any sort of profiles at that time.
Yeah.
And it started to build up on him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Hold on.
Like something.
Let's see if we get there. He is. There he is. Okay, we lost you there, brother. Sorry about that.
That's what's cool about the show.
Exactly.
We got technical difficulties, right?
Just keep it rolling, brother.
You know?
Keep it rolling.
Keep it rolling, man. You know what I'm
It's what happens when you're a live tech. The show goes on.
Right.
The show goes on, right?
But you were. What were you saying just a second ago? Whenever we lost track of you.
No, what I'm saying is, if you notice somebody, let's say I don't know you, Chris, and Stephen and Nelson, who knows you, your attitude changes. You don't have to be a veteran or non-veteran.
That's right.
He says, "Hey, man, is there something wrong with you? You look down. You look depressed. You know, maybe you need some spiritual help. You know, I know I can call Jason. He'll pray for you. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I'm analyzing Nelson right now.
You know, if you want the prayer, call Jason out. He'll pray for you all day.
Well, and, you know,
sure.
what's interesting to me, one of the things that we were bringing up earlier today, whenever you and I were talking in preparation for the show, whenever we were talking here, is the infiltration of, and by infiltration I mean the fact that the misrepresentation of violent Black Power rhetoric and people in association with Black Lives Matter, a really good movement.
Right.
And I see that going on frequently, like the clip that I sent you about the Black Lives Matter people at the Bernie Sanders rally. It was like 6 months ago. It was like in January, something like that. It may have even been before then, but they literally hop up on stage and push him away from the microphone and literally say the words like, "We aren't reasonable."
Right.
So it's like, go ahead.
No, I'm not answering for every Black citizen out there.
Absolutely
not. But I will say this, that one of the things that I see is solution. You know, and that is across the board. No matter Black, white, Hispanic, solutions.
Go ahead.
Solutions.
Let us know what you mean, my friend.
The solution is this. There's an issue. I won't be King Kong. You know about King Kong's story. I'm going to jump on an Alpha tire and then everybody shoot me down, right?
Yeah.
The reason why King Kong got shot down from the Alpha Towers because he didn't have a solution. He should have got up on the top of the tower and says, look, I can see further than you. I have a solution to help you see further than you so you can come where I am. Because this lady right here, she harassed me, and this is what's happening. I'm going to talk to her on top of the Alpha Tower, so don't shoot me, because this is what's happening right now. We're having a one-on-one discussion.
Yeah.
But the problem is that we're seeing the solution is, okay, the house down the street is broken. It needs new roofing. It needs new siding. My neighbor has carpenter skills. Now, did my neighbor come over and help me? No. Why? Because as neighbors, we're not communicating with neighbors. We're not saying, I love you, neighbor. Hey, how you doing, neighbor? Would you like a piece of cake? No. Why?
Thank you.
Because that's across the board. That's
exactly.
I agree to that. Yeah.
And that
the black community is just communities. Period.
Yeah. That is a topic that we talk about on this show frequently. Frequently is the loss of the concept of neighbor, the loss of the concept of your neighbor, you care about your neighbor. When you see a strange car in your neighbor's lawn for a day, you're like, hey, who the heck is that? Hey, buddy, just so you know, while you were out of town, I saw this strange blue Toyota parked there. Do you know a blue Toyota?
Yeah. One word.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Nelson.
Constitution.
Yeah.
It's... I know people are saying that it's long gone. We need to, stop worrying. But I mean, that's the founding fathers. I mean, I've read a book. I'm finishing it up. It's Thomas Paine, and a lot of people read his stuff because it's really he's got a lot of logical sense in going into this with Thomas Jefferson and all the guys that signed the Constitution.
Sure,
that they wanted to make sure that there was still this founding element that we can still be together.
That's right.
I think one of these elements that are interfering with the neighborly thing here is our day and age, that big box sitting in the living room, with the media coming across it, with all these damn articles and these news
I do really feel like a TV was a lot of blame.
Yeah, well, and you were saying that just before the show. Go ahead and lay that out for us, Jason. You were saying that the TV has a big part to play in this.
Well, I call it the noise box. Anybody know what that noise box is?
Yes.
It's in the living room.
Okay.
Always bumping its gums. Always bumping its gums.
Right. The first thing I will tell you straight up, and I don't know what anybody's religious background is, faith background is, but I'll tell you one thing. I am a God-fearing, Jesus loving. Let's hug each other. I want to show you how you can get in touch with you. How you fall in love with you. And this is where we are in the TV. The TV has distracted me from loving Jason. Why?
Yes.
I ain't walking around, I'm better than you guys. I'm better than you because I love Jason. No, I'm saying that when I say I love the person who I have become, I know where I came from. I know that I've been through the war. I know I worked on a farm. I worked in the fields. I know what hard work is. I know where God has brought me, and I know where God's going to take me. But, when we look at the noise that is distracting us on the TV, that is putting these hypnotic words in our minds, these trigger words, these things that will push us to the edge. Fear. Fear is what's happening right now. When you see fear, all you want to do is rope your window. You want to take your children to the park. You want to do things with your wife. You want to do things with your loved ones. You want to take them by the hand. You want to do things that will show them that they are loved. But we're distracted. We're distracted by the hands. We're distracted by these mobile phones. We're distracted by the laptops. We're distracted by the society that's related to social media, because all we got to do is just stop the noise.
Jason, I know a lot of our viewers definitely agree with you on that.
Man, I couldn't have said it much better.
And I'm feeling you, man. But what do we do? Like, how do we
how do we start that?
Yeah, but how do we communicate this to every other individual in all the corners of the world, in the globe, in the continental U.S., even in your state, in your own neighborhood, in your city? I mean, we're talking billions of people, and it's something that needs to happen now and needed to happen 20 years ago.
I think let me take this on real quick in a technical aspect, and I think you might be able to appreciate this explanation here, Jason. He distinctly called it a noise box. He didn't call it a signal box. And in the industry that we work in, audio-visual and professional sound, there's signal and there's noise.
Right.
And one of them is what you're trying to transmit and let people know. The other is what gets in the way. And there's a signal level and there's a noise level. And it's a signal-to-noise ratio. And the more noise there is, the more hiss, the more crackle, the more everything else, the more white noise of every spectrum that you're going to hear instead of that one amplified signal that you're trying to get across.
And that vibration, Chris, and you know, when we're talking about, if anybody's a music theory major, okay?
What do you?
And you know the difference between a bass clef and a treble clef, right? You cannot put a note that does not belong in the sheets. So
I'm confused on what you're saying, though. I'm still confused on what you mean by noise.
What I'm saying is that there's a message that does unify us, and that box that's out there is not pushing that message. It's pushing noise, not the signal.
Pushing noise.
It's not the signal that's pure and good that you're trying to get out there, the message. That's not what's being amplified. What's being amplified is the noise around it.
Yeah, but
and that's the confusion. That's what's causing the barrier. Is that everybody's hearing the noise?
But that's how we don't get the word out to everyone to tell them that we need to stand up together.
Well, no, it's the fact that the message that's going out right now on media is divisive. Is polarizing to one side or the other, and it's not about the message.
It's to the media's agenda.
The question I was asking is, how do we tell everyone?
How do we fix it?
Okay.
How do we fix it?
Exactly. How can we fix it? Go ahead, Jason.
All right. I want to tell you the most simplest. I'm laughing and crying with joy at the same time. It's very simple, you know, and we've turned our backs away from it. But if you want to fix everything that's going on right now, I want to use this terminology. We got to change the music. It starts with the individuals that are on this wavelength right now. It starts with the person who has told themselves and looked in the mirror every morning and never said to themselves in the mirror, I love you. When you find love in your heart, that positive vibe, it took one man to affect millions of people.
Mm-hmm.
When you can take one man, take a positive against a negative, you can watch any cartoon, animated, there's always that one guy with that bright light. For some reason, that dude kicks darkness, but all the time, right?
Yeah.
But it takes that one thing that says, I love you. And then when you say, I love you, say, I thank God that I made it today. I woke up today. Because you know what? Yesterday, some people probably took their last breath. Some people woke up, did not wake up this morning. And some people who are not planning to wake up tomorrow will not wake up tomorrow. But the question of the day is there's love in your heart. And you want to know how powerful that word is? We ain't talking about sexuality here. We ain't talking about having a love for your wife, a love for your mom, a love for... We're talking about a spiritual love that when I call... I know things are changing. I know things are evolving and going in a direction.
I got a quick question, Jason. I got a quick question. I get where you're coming from, man, and I feel it. But how is... I don't think everyone has spiritual faith for them to look in the mirror. I mean, there's got to be another way we can
and I think beyond spiritual faith, here, and this is a question that I pose to Amy all the time, and it's the fact of we have lost faith in our common man.
Right.
We have lost faith in our neighbor. We have lost faith in the fact that the person across the table from us at lunch at work has our back.
Right.
We've lost faith
Yeah.
in that, which
Where
means
do we
we've
lose
lost
that
faith.
from?
Which means we've lost faith as a country.
Right.
We've lost
I
faith as a people.
When do
In
you
this
think that
country.
happens?
It's a higher thinking, I believe.
It's been happening for a little while.
You know when it happened?
Go ahead, Jason.
When we started these American Idol shows,
TV in
about me.
general, just TV
The noise
in general.
box, like you said.
Yes.
me, because if you walk out the store or if you walk to a job, what can you do for me? You don't go to the job and says, "Hey, what can I do for you?" Anybody is all about what can you do for me? And I'm thinking, wait a minute, guy. I have the job. I got the money. I have your insurance. And you're going to come to me and ask me what I'm going to do? No. How can you come and make this job better? How can we grow as a team? How can we take this foundation that is built on sand and let's go get some concrete and put some foundation? But I tell you, it's very simple. If you want change in your neighborhood, you got to start doing neighborhood. You got to get into the neighborhood.
You know,
offices.
that was probably the most beautiful message that I saw. We have about 5 minutes left, and I want to go out on this because one of the most beautiful messages that I did see come out of this was from the Dallas police chief. And he put out a message today saying, if you want to make a change, we're hiring. If you want to make a change in your community, come be a cop, and we'll put you on the street in your neighborhood, and you can make a change in your neighborhood. You can be the cop that makes a difference.
But we also got to be more than just cops. We got to be construction workers.
That's it. We got to. Well, we have to be custodians for ourselves. We have to be custodians for our neighborhoods,
and taking responsibility for your own actions.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
taking responsibility.
And,
and oh, sorry.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead. I was cutting you off. Go ahead, Jason.
You could take a community. Let's just say a small community and start from each house, right?
Yep.
By the time you rebuild each house, guess what you got in that whole community? Brand new houses.
That's right.
So if you can get the neighbors to just work on one house and work down them 10 houses, right? And what did I just do with those 10 houses with the 10 families that are in that house? We just connected 10 families who actually care for one another.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's just it. It's about building community. It's about reaching across. Just like the discussion tonight. There was not a point tonight where any one of us brought race as the issue or anything like that. Because I really feel that is part of the rhetoric that's going on. That's part of the flames that are being fanned.
I think people should
I don't even want to be a part of.
People should stop listening to the TV, stop seeing with their eyes, see with their heart and their mind.
That's a beautiful way to put that, Stephen.
Hey, I tell you, hey, you can ask Chris. Chris, tell him. Did I tell you I don't watch TV?
Yeah. No, he doesn't. He doesn't watch TV or anything. Like when I brought up quite a bit of this, he had heard about it and stuff like that, but he hadn't been like inundated by it. Like I sent him quite a few, like all the articles that I sent you guys, everything else in preparation for this show. And, there's just so much data out there. There's so much. And the problem, like I brought it up on Facebook the other day, the problem is that we are such a we want it right now society that unfortunately the news is willing to fulfill that. And they're willing to give you anything to fill that moment that you're waiting.
Can I ask Jason a quick question?
Go ahead. We got about 3-4 minutes left.
Do you read any newspapers? Read any weekly news articles like Bloomberg Business or anything like that?
You want to hear the most craziest thing?
Sure.
I go by the vibration. I feel vibrations. And just like I was talking to Chris about this whole incident, before that news article came out about that young man, about that gun situation, I already knew, based off of what he was telling me, what had happened.
Yeah.
Just from what he told me.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
It's, it's a situation that, to me, Like I said,
I'm
like Steven just said, we all need to learn to listen with our hearts. We all need to learn to get past anything. Like I was
But
telling
not the
you,
sole thing of it.
well, it's like John
We
Baum
still
mentioned.
need news and information from our technology.
Oh no, absolutely,
from
absolutely.
stocks,
but
from finance,
oh no,
world news.
most definitely, we still need news, all that kind of stuff. The problem is, whenever you're asking the news to give you every little detail right now, they don't have every little detail right now, and they're willing to make some
That's
shit up.
why the
to
best
fill
time to get news, the best way to get it is reading it. You know?
Oh, absolutely,
Not
absolutely,
TV.
yeah,
Yeah, but then you got to look at the distractors, though.
yeah,
See, from the training I received over the 20 years, right? You got to understand what is pliable information, what's credible information, and what is bull crap.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
What's filler?
and what the stuff that you're seeing that is on TV, I'm going to distract you so hard that the real question I had is even though yes, the people here are our great country, right?
Yeah.
Are focusing on this group, but let me express something. There is something coming down the pipeline that is happening right now that you may not be aware of. It's been told, it's been said, and it's happening. But I'm not going to go there because the show's about over.
Yeah,
But-
yeah. And just to wrap things up, like we said, it's about love. It's about understanding. It's
Right.
about learning to see the world through other people's eyes, through other people's experiences. And
That was the answer.
And to go through and misrepresent a movement, to go say you're part of a movement, and then go do angry, horrible things at public events, utterly detracts from that movement. You're doing things directly opposite of what that movement is trying to do. That speaks for the guy in Dallas. That speaks for the young people that interrupted Bernie Sanders a few months ago. All that kind of stuff. And it really comes down to a point of conflict resolution in this country. And the fact that a lot of people just ain't got it. They don't know how to resolve a conflict without violent action. They don't know how to resolve a conflict without getting into an argument, without getting into a screaming match.
It gets noticed. That's why.
And it does. It gets noticed. It gets noticed rapidly. But the problem is, it's the wrong attention.
Yep.
It's the wrong kind of attention, and it's a destructive kind of attention. It's not a construction. It's not a point of love. It's not a point of action. Go ahead. We got 1 minute left. Go ahead, Jason.
Remember, remember, leadership is always you're only as strong as your leadership.
That's right.
Okay, and if your leadership is weak, then and that's not talking about the top of it. Okay, we're just talking about community. Okay, all right. If our community leadership is weak, and no matter if what their ethnic or religious background is,
that's right.
But if none of those people are standing up and says, "Hey, let's come together, let's have a barbecue," why not?
Yeah. It's about community action and coming together.
It's community action, ownership.
That's it.
But your leadership. And if you don't have leadership, guess what? You should be that leadership.
That's right. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Jason Knight. We greatly appreciate
Thanks,
you.
Jason.
I'm sure that we'll have
Appreciate
you
it,
chime in on other topics at some point. Until then, everybody, thank you so much. Thank you.
Jason.
Take care, Jason. We'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Peace.
All right, God bless. Peace.
Love you, brother.
And on that note, thank you all so much for tuning in. Keep on tuning in. We are Dudes and Beer. Can't be good at it, everybody.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Clean Beer Podcast. Visit us online at www.dudesandbeer.com. Find our audio streams on SoundCloud.com and Spreaker.com/Dudes and Beer. Follow us on Facebook /Dudes and Beer. Thanks for listening, everybody. And until next time, drink responsibly.